Good morning, wrestling fans. Welcome to PWR today, Friday morning. Finally, we made it. It's May 7th, 2021. The man they call Meathead once again joined Friday morning by Matthew Thomas. Good morning, Matthew.
Good morning, Meathead. It is Friday morning, huh?
Friday morning, try not to get fired from your job on your off day. You know what I mean?
I think it's a reasonable thing to accomplish.
Well, we'll have to see about that. But Friday mornings, and normally we talk about, just how the week's gone, what's coming up tonight on Smackdown. But today, we're going to be talking about Sunday's A&E documentary on Randy the Macho Man Savage. Yeah. It's funny that I do that because in that documentary, they said, when you talk Macho Man, you got to do the voice, brother. Yeah. And it's so funny, too, because I'm not a comedian. I'm not an impressionist, but I fancy myself a stay-at-home comedian impressionist, and I like to pay attention to what people do and how they do it with the Macho Man. And they brought it out clearly on the documentary. It wasn't about screaming, it wasn't about fast talking, it was always about being low and menacing. And yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go and twist. I'm gonna give you a purple nurples.
Yeah, it's kind of like low intensity.
Jake the Snake Roberts was probably the best at that. But who's the best at reading our sponsors' copy? It's Matthew Thomas. Go ahead, Matthew.
Well, our sponsor's copy implores me to tell you that if you would like to be fashionable and comfortable, and that's a thing not a lot of people are. It's either one or the other.
It's a thing that you have trouble getting to.
You can either be comfortable or fashionable. It's often been said it hurts to be pretty. Well,
it does hurt me to be pretty. When I'm pretty, it hurts.
With collar and elbow, you can be comfortable and pretty, and you can be very smart, and you can save money if you go to collar and elbow.
Buckets,
if you enter promo code Linda K, and I want to make sure you get that entered right. So the first thing you want to do is you want to go on your keyboard. And
hey, Matthew, it's Friday, and we only have 20 minutes. Let's speed this one up there, pal.
And you want to go to the L button, and then you want to go up a little ways with your middle finger to the I, and then with the index to the N, the left.
And that was PWR today. Thanks for stopping by.
The left middle finger with the D, and the A is going to be hit by your pinky finger on your left hand. And then you want to go the K, the letter K, not the full name K, with your middle right hand middle finger. And then you're going to go back over with your pinky finger and hit the A. And then you're going to go up finally with your right finger. You're going to take that index finger on your right hand and hit Y to spell out promo code Linda K.
Oh, I thought the Y meant, why is this still going on?
Going to save you 10%. And the money that you save from that, you can use to do whatever you want to with.
Well, it's not going to be working at your job because you've been still listening to the podcast in the car, and now you're late. So Linda K, that's Kay for collarandelbowbrand.com. I'm going to have to, Matthew, we're going to have to take a side class here, and I'm going to teach you how to read a promo, son.
Yeah. No, I think, I don't want anything to fall through the cracks there. And
I think what you're saying to me is I don't like reading these damn promotions, and, go ahead and read them because you read them way better than I do.
Well, speaking of cracks, we glossed over it on our AEW review, but there were a lot
There's
of
nobody glossing anybody's crack.
There was a lot of butt cracks on AEW this week. We got TQ Marshalls and QT Marshalls. I'm sorry, I inverted those two letters.
You wanted to say cutie, didn't you?
And then we saw somebody else. Who else's crack did we see? I can't remember.
Dax.
Yes, it was.
Dax butt cracks. All right. But let us go back to talking about AEW's Macho Man. Yeah, the Macho Man Randy Savage. I was very impressed with the, to be honest, unseen footage. I have not seen that type of footage before. Footage from his dad's federation that we had never seen before. Footage of him wearing what looked to be like a Padres outfit.
Yeah.
And, honestly, young Randy Savage, Randy Poffo, out there looking lean and still insane.
Yeah, no, we got some really good throwback photos there, videos, and I like the fact that A&E didn't pull any punches. At times, I felt like I couldn't remember. I honestly couldn't remember which show I was watching a couple times. If I was watching A&E Biography or Dark Side of the Ring, and I'm saying that because, I mean, one thing about the A&E products, kind of like we see over at Vice with the Dark Side of the Ring, it's not, it doesn't have the WWE gloss, so they might be willing to go a little
it's
bit.
WWE backed and WWE endorsed. I mean,
Yeah.
because they don't get Vince McMahon interviews on there just because he needed a couple bucks.
Right. Now, I mean, there's some of that there, but they, I heard some stuff on the A&E special that I hadn't heard before. So, I mean, it was a very well put together special.
Let's talk about what we heard, and we're going to get to Sean Waltman, Xbox, 6, 1, 2, 3 kid. We're going to get to his thoughts on it too in just a second here, but we got a lot of negative on Randy as well. Randy was amazing. What we kind of knew, but we never got in depth on before, was Randy was very possessive.
Yeah.
Right? So the stuff that he was doing on screen, I love Linda being able to tell us that she was at King of the Ring 96. I get to tell you that I was at the Mega Powers Meltdown, which also happened in Milwaukee at the Bradley Center, the second ever event at that building, the brand new Bradley Center, where the Mega Powers melted down on Saturday night's main event, which was just actually a Friday night version that was live, but it was taped on a Friday, but I mean they showed it somewhere, and then on Saturday everywhere else. So that was an amazing time that led us up to, I think it was WrestleMania 5, right? Hogan versus Savage for the main event.
That would have been 5 because 4 would have been Savage winning in the tournament. Yeah.
Okay. So, but what I'm getting at is we all knew, but we didn't know the depths of Macho Man was very possessive. Yeah, I tell you what, you're going to sit in the corner and you're going to stay right there. And if I tell you to move, you move. And if I tell you to don't move, you don't move. Randy took that home with him. And,
I'd heard it in regards to, the Elizabeth story.
Yes.
But I think what A&E gave us that I don't recall having really seen any interviews with Gorgeous George before. And I know Dark Side of the Ring went kind of into the Elizabeth stuff, and WWE's Macho Man documentary was very in depth from a few years back. They touched onto some stuff and some rumors that A&E didn't bite on, and a lot of people were very surprised that WWE acknowledged. But the Gorgeous George stuff, and in particular, apparently having hidden cameras. Yeah. Like a special panel in his closet or something where he's got closed circuit TV of
that's some Scientology stuff right there where they got cameras across the street.
Yeah. That was kind of, jaw on the floor.
Yeah, and that was the end of George and Randy, and I loved me some Gorgeous George. Team Madness, Miss Madness 2000, who would later go on to be Molly Holly. Medusa was on the team. I thought that was a great thing.
Yeah.
I didn't like and this is where we're going to get into Xbox's comments here. I didn't like the continued bashing because, let's be honest, the man's passed away.
Yeah.
Had a heart attack while he was driving. Had his wife in the car with him. Yeah. And he wasn't there to defend himself. But really, the whole time that it was Bubba the Love Sponge and Hogan on Tampa Morning Radio, just tag teaming, no pun intended, on Hogan consistently over and over. That's when the Macho Man put out the rap CD. Says, "Come on, be a man, Hogan. Don't be a bitch." Yeah.
Yeah, it's, one thing that my memory had wrong was I thought it was prior. It was 03 apparently was when it was released. I thought it was actually earlier than that.
No, it was 03, and this is when they're all living down in Tampa. Again, because remember, Hogan and Randy, even more so you find out in the documentary here, they partied together. It was Linda and Hulkster, and then Randy and Elizabeth. They hung out together. They lived in the same area. I mean, how do you think Randy Savage got on Baywatch with Hogan? How do you think that, they were always around? Yeah. I mean, Randy was a star. And I never knew this until watching a documentary. I mentioned this a little bit earlier this week with Linda, but Randy, when he was doing commentary with Vince McMahon on Monday Night Raw, got a deal from Eric Bischoff to go work at WCW, and yeah, there was matches there as well. Didn't tell Vince. Vince is literally walking around day of a show on a Monday looking for Randy, to get ready for commentary that night, and Randy's on TV on WCW.
Yeah, in which again, that doesn't necessarily reconcile with what I remembered as well, because I remember, man, I thought Savage came over. Wait a minute, didn't he? I think
I want to say he came over in '95.
Yeah,
because Hogan was there in '94.
I want to say, man, I need to go back and research that, because in my mind, Savage came over prior to Nitro starting. He came over and premiered like on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
And that
here we go. Savage made his first appearance on WCW on December 3rd, 1994, episode of Saturday Night's Main Event.
Okay. Wow. And so that would have predated Nitro.
Yeah, Nitro came off in '95, I believe.
Yep. Yeah.
Labor Day '95. The Macho Man's debut, and it was interviewed by Mean Gene Okerlund. So the exodus of WF at that time was already happening. They were leaving WWF to go to WCW for the money.
So my takeaway from this, and I'd heard the stories prior, but it really dawned on me watching this, was if they hadn't have quintessentially made Savage go to a commentary role, and he had more in-ring ability there during that run, imagine the talent that Savage could have worked with from, say, late '94 to now, was he WCW till the very end?
He was WCW through 2000.
Until 2000,
I think he left mid-2000.
So imagine Savage still in WWF at that point, from end of '94 through 2000.
Oh, there's a Triple H, there's a Rock, there's a Austin.
Well, and the often pitched idea that apparently Savage was really, really high on was a trilogy, or at least a multi-series of matches with Shawn Michaels, as Shawn Michaels was getting hot, as they were propelling him to, be the Shawn Michaels with the title run and everything. I mean, a Savage Shawn Michaels series, you've got the end of that run angle coming. I mean, my goodness, the amount of potential things you could have done with Savage there. If he was wrestling in WCW till 2000. I mean, Savage in WWF at that point with a lot of that younger talent. My goodness.
Early 2000. Honestly, I think his Team Madness was early 2000, and then he was out of there. I think it was probably right when he dropped it to Nash, to be honest with you, because I think he dropped it to Nash somewhere in the summer.
Yeah.
The irony of it too was that Sid Vicious showed up in the summer, and Sid was seriously playing softball at the time. So why he was around, in WCW, maybe he got the deal where he flew in on a Monday and that was it.
Yeah. Now, and I mean, that's what, when you really look at the Savage WCW run, I mean, so much of that, the meat and potatoes of that was done on, your former WWF feuds, with Savage. I mean, I'm looking at what could have been in WWF at the time, and having Savage being that veteran, elevating younger talents. And my goodness, it's crazy.
Let's talk a little bit about the Savage documentary that leaned towards Elizabeth and, Lex Luger at the end. Yeah. And Lex did not come off well in here. Lex Luger, a shell physically of the man he used to be, who was gassing. Let's just put it out there and be honest. He was gassing at the time, and now I don't think he can walk. I think he's wheelchair bound. And, he said, look, we were partying and we were doing what we were doing, and, she overdosed, and that was the end. I'm very heartbroken that she's gone, but I like that they addressed it in here. I don't think a half-hour special on Liz and her career would have worked. It had to be part of the Macho Man story, only because Macho Man was such a possessive person. I do like how they did bring up the fact that, after he stopped dyeing his hair after Spider-Man, and found the love of his life from high school. He was a happy guy, and I remember seeing those pictures. He looked like Santa Claus, which was cool. I mean, big muscular Santa Claus, kind of like Brett Favre was looking for a while when he had the big white beard. But Randy seemed happy. So the life and time of Randy the Macho Man Savage, A&E documentaries. Finally, let's talk about what follows it up. Probably my new favorite show is Hidden Treasures. The focus was Jerry the King Lawler. Now, AJ, who I didn't put two and two together until this previous week's episode of NXT, is running with Isaiah Swerve Scott. Did you notice that?
I didn't until this week.
Well, I mean, it's cool. I mean, I love it. He should be out there. I mean, I know they said he was on NXT, but I didn't put it two and two together. It wasn't really.
And you're talking about AJ on the A&E show, not AJ Lee, because I don't know if Punk would be too happy about that.
Light it up, light it up, light it up. Yeah, that one. The one that galloped around the ring. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Weighed about 67 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
But is also going to be writing a new movie. What was the movie we talked about a week ago that she's going to be writing?
I can't remember. You told me, but I did, as of note, I did see somebody with a CM Punk T-shirt on in the grocery store yesterday.
That's terrific. Great segue. Now let's go back.
It wasn't a collar and elbow shirt, I don't think.
No, let's go back to talking about Hidden Treasures with Jerry the King Lawler. The goal was to find the Andy Kaufman neck brace, to maybe get the robe that Jared King Lawler wore in his debut when Bret the Hitman Hart won the King of the Ring, the original King of the Ring. And then they ended up getting one other piece, and it was, what was the thing that they got?
Was it the boots that he had in the
it was
Kaufman?
The boots. Yeah, during the Kaufman match. But they ended up meeting up with a somewhat friend, a collector friend that Jared King Lawler knows. That and the King is a huge collector himself. For those that don't know, Jared King Lawler, huge Coca-Cola guy. He collects everything Coca-Cola, vintage machines, vintage art, signage, whatever you have. But this collector had the shirt that Jerry the King Lawler was wearing when he had his cardiac arrest on Raw. How did that make you feel, Matthew?
Very uneasy. Not just that. That's a little bit different in hindsight. That didn't make me feel uneasy is the fact that WWE had cameras rolling when Jerry Lawler was quintessentially receiving life-saving resuscitation.
When he could be possibly dying.
Yeah, and the fact of the matter, it's very rough to watch now, but the simple fact that all of that's going on back there and you've got a camera recording that, oh my goodness. Are they doing, I have no idea the thought process there.
I mean, to be honest, Jerry had to have given up the shirt for auction. The money had to have gone to a good cause, and to have Jerry come back to the collector, and it was signed too. It's not like Jerry didn't know that he had that shirt. It was signed.
Yeah.
So
that, like I said, the shirt doesn't bother me as much as the video footage, and that while that was going on, somebody had a camera on it.
Yeah. But let's talk about the positive of this whole thing. Bill Apter, being the wrestling purist, we can call him a purist that he is, one of the original Dirt Sheet magazine type guys, says, you know what? I would love to give you the Kaufman neck brace because it is a part of history, and I'm a big fan. Huge marks for Bill Apter on that one.
Oh, yeah. Huge class act. And one thing that this revealed that I had no idea what a pivotal role that Apter played in the whole Lawler Kaufman angle.
Right. He was at the Late Show with David Letterman taking pictures. He was on set.
And even talking about going back to Lawler's hotel room and seeing Kaufman in there, which, as close to the vest as they played that entire angle, I'm very surprised that Apter, in that time period, when the business is, still very, very much guarded,
and
early
that
80s.
Right there, just those words right there is why Bill Apter was so respected, because he guarded the Andy Kaufman, Jerry the King Lawler story.
And what's so interesting, you go back to the review that we did on Pillman's Dark Side of the Ring, where, Pillman's working Dave Meltzer during that whole angle, not even calling Meltzer. And then this is this is what 15 years prior to all of that, and you've got Apter in on the Kaufman angle, which really surprised me.
And the Kaufman angle, until the movie came out, was still protected.
Yeah.
You know, the what was something on the moon? What was the name? A Man on the Moon?
Man on the Moon, yeah.
Yeah, with Jim Carrey. Yep, good movie, by the way. So amazing, these little nuggets that we're getting, 15, 20 years later.
Yeah, and something else worthwhile watching. I can't think of I think it was it Andy and Jim and Andy or something, but the documentary that I don't know if it was a Netflix original or if it was just on Netflix.
I think that was a Netflix original.
Was
actually,
it?
Now that I'm hearing,
yeah. As far as like there was seemingly a good amount of Jim Carrey work in Lawler during the whole filming of that. So I think Carrey was really trying to kind of evoke Andy Kaufman during that whole thing. And I mean, it's some pretty out there stuff, especially as far as like Kaufman's children coming to set and Jim Carrey being so into that Kaufman role.
Yeah.
Definitely worth checking out if you haven't.
Let's talk about SmackDown for tonight, Matthew Thomas. We are post Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan has been barred from SmackDown after a post-match concerto as well from the Tribal Chief, while his dad, Cesaro, looks on in he's wearing his dad jeans, right? So his dad, Cesaro, looks on while Big Money Jey Uso has him in the, chokehold. Your thoughts on what we're going to see tonight on SmackDown on a throwback edition as we go to Cesaro, Seth Rollins?
Yeah, I really don't know. I mean, this leaves Roman without a contender, and I know you've mentioned on the show with Linda, potentially enter Edge at this juncture, and that seems as good of a plan as anything. I am a little confused as far as the booking of where they're going to for the next contender, but my goodness, Edge certainly does have a claim to it, and Bryan's out of the picture right now, so that would seem like
that would cool Edge's tits, right? It would have gotten him to cool down a little bit.
Yeah, the next logical step, although, I mean, honestly, if we were going Edge and Roman at WrestleMania Backlash, I mean, that's something that you can get a full 4 weeks of build out of. I would
and
feel
we've got
a little
1 week.
Yeah, I would feel a little bit rushed here if you go ahead and just throw Edge in at this juncture. But I mean,
okay.
Who knows what kind of deal he's got? I mean, it might be a deal where it's like, all right, we're not going to be on TV every week, so who knows? It's going to be a lot of wait and see. But they need to go ahead and get something moving for Reigns at Backlash.
There's also a rumor that Throwback SmackDown tonight will be throwing back to a time when it was worth watching. Any thoughts on that?
Oh man, that's very encouraging.
Yeah, so we'll have to see how they throw it back. So it's a whole network thing, but Throwback SmackDown tonight on Fox. Matthew, that is our week. We have confirmed that coming up next week, before the airing of WrestleMania Backlash, Linda Kay, Matthew Thomas, the man they call Meathead, and possibly one more, will be redoing and drafting again for the PWR draft for the 21-22 season. Matthew, you say you already have a team name picked out. I'm going to stay with a champion's name, the team they call Meatheads. We'll see what Linda does. We'll see what our guest to be named later does. What do you think?
All I know is, do I have a team name picked out?
Okay. Well, do you have a winning philosophy picked out?
I do. And I think all you really have to do is rewind your podcast machine back to a couple of days ago, when I told you exactly what was going to happen on AEW Blood and Guts. And we've really gotten into a realm now where I don't necessarily fancy myself a professional wrestling journalist or, analyst. I think I am actually a professional wrestling forecaster at this juncture.
Yeah, you're a prognosticator.
I'm a prognosticator, and I'm, kind of like the, who's the guy that always shows up at the hurricanes and the snowstorm? Cantori, Jim Cantori. I'm quintessentially the Jim Cantori of professional wrestling.
So what you're saying is, if I draft right before you, I may have to tank your pick.
You go right ahead, because I've got a I've got a philosophy. It's not going to be one of the, I'm not going to hot shot a bunch of stuff. I've got a full kind of this almanac that I've drawn up of 2021, 2022, basically, the road from WrestleMania Backlash to WrestleMania in Dallas. And my goodness, there's a lot of strategy. There's a lot of predictions. Man, you're going to see something.
Okay. Well, we'd like to see you download the podcast. Make sure you share, you like, you comment, you tell your friends. Again, it is helping, folks. We are getting the word out there, and we'd like to have you listen to myself and Linda Kay this coming Monday morning. So for Matthew Thomas, for Linda Kay, I'm the man they call Meathead. Hey, thanks for stopping by. We'll talk to you Monday morning. So long, everyone.